Hello and welcome to the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. You join us here in the beautiful countryside of Cheshire at Oulton Park. With 100 points to play for each race, it's all heating up here along with the weather. Andy, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Well, here we go then. The first of 3 races today for Group A at Oulton Park sees Ollie Allwood on pole position with John Langridge alongside Joe Wiggin on row 2 ahead of Adam Bessel, then Matt Luff and Matt Pollard with championship leader Blackwell Chambers down in 7th on the grid alongside Steve Foden. Martin Tolley's on row 5 with Ben Short, another to watch for moving forward. Then Jack Brewer and Jason Greatrex, who is leading the Masters Championship, arriving here in the northwest. Another big grid of cars then for the first of 6 races today, actually, because it's a single day meeting. We have all 3 A and B races on the same day here at Oulton, so it's going to be a long day, but a sunny day. The weather is very, very pleasant this afternoon, and the big crowd on hand, I'm sure, are set to enjoy this scrap. So Ollie Allwood then on pole position alongside of John Langridge, who is 2 points behind Will Blackwell Chambers in the championship. So in other words, if Langridge beats Blackwell Chambers by more than 1 position in this race, he will take over the points lead. Will he be able to do it though? That's the question. Well, we'll find out in about 20 minutes time, because the race is about to get underway. Allwood on the left, Langridge the grey car on the right. The lights go out, away we go. We're racing at Oulton Park, and it's a good start made by Joe Wiggin from the inside of row number 2, who will try and go between both of the front row men and will do so. I think he's certainly past Langridge, goes to the outside of Ollie Allwood though, but Allwood hangs on to the race lead, and Ollie looking for his first win of the year. All contact there, Martin Tolley is sideways. 1 or 2 take to the grass in avoidance. Tolley saves the car, but loses lots of momentum on the run down the avenue, and that will cost him plenty of positions. Down to Cascades now for the first time. 1 or 2 taking some slightly wayward lines through the right-hand kink at Denton's at the top of the hill. Ben Hansey there trying to go around the outside of Marcus Bailey. That won't work as they head out of Cascade now down the Lakeside Straight on board with Martin Tolley looking back at Marcus Bailey now. We're on the full international circuit this weekend at Oulton Park, so we get to enjoy the Oulton Park circuit in all of its majesty through the really quick left-hander at Ireland into the breaking point at the Shell hairpin. This tight banked right-hander where Ollie Allwood leads the pack from Wiggin and then Adam Bessel. So unfortunately Langridge has rather gone backwards here. He's still ahead of his big championship rival Will Blackwell Chambers, but Joe Wiggin mathematically could still get himself into this title race, but he needs a few more race victories. He's going the right way about it now though. He's been taking no prisoners all year, and he proved that again there at the start of this race to burst through from the second row of the grid into second place at the start. Down the hill they go then into the Hislop chicane. Jack Brewer there going up the inside of Jason Greatrex, takes the position. Surprisingly hard place anyway to overtake into the Hislop chicane, but that was a perfectly judged example of how to do it. Martin Tolley trying to now take advantage of that and get back ahead of the 2 cars that he did out-qualify, but that moment at the first corner means that he's a bit further down the order than he'd like to be. Over the hill then, this roller coaster circuit at Oulton Park. It's a surprisingly high-speed track, Oulton, so the slipstream that these cars produce should keep the pack relatively well bunched together. However, overtaking opportunities are few and far between. This is one of the best chances to overtake, down into Lodge. Will Blackwell Chambers, amongst others, ducking out of line to try and make a move, but actually as they turn into the corner, no one actually is able to gain a position. So the order at the end of the opening lap then will be Allwood leading the way, Wiggin second, third for Bessel. We're on board with John Langridge now from 4th position. So at the moment he would be doing just enough to take over the points lead from Blackwell Chambers, who is currently 6th, but Langridge once more goes to the inside of Bessel through Old Hall corner, but Adam decisively turns into the corner. John bounces his way through the double apex right-hander, still in second place, but again now moves over to defend, and John most definitely now is prioritising second place over going for the race lead. Ben Short again gets his nose in front, but he just can't turn into the corner, not quite doing enough to clear John Langridge. He's asking all of the right questions now of the number 5 car. And the more defensive driving John does, the slower he'll be out of the corners. Last lap board goes out then. 1 more lap of the 2.7 mile Oulton Park International Circuit to go, and Ben Short goes to the inside at Old Hall corner and goes through. Ben Short has taken second place away from Langridge, but slides onto the grass, nearly loses it right in front of the 2 championship contenders. That could have been complete calamity for John Langridge and Will Blackwell Chambers, but miraculously it all comes out, well, they all come out the other side in one piece, and with Langridge back into second place. But fair play to Ben Short, he doesn't seem to care one bit about the fact that he's racing with our championship rivals here. He just wants to get the best result possible for him and his team, and well, that was nearly at the expense of John Langridge, but John had the presence of mind there to just cut back to the late apex, got back alongside him, kept his foot in it even when Ben Short looked like he was losing control to his left. And actually, Langridge, all of a sudden, being spurred on maybe by the idea of escaping from the chaos behind him, has caught Joe Wiggins. So not under any pressure at the moment is Langridge either, so he might feel that he could give this a go. Through Britain's he goes, bounces over the curbs. That number 5 car hasn't looked quite as happy through the Britain chicane all race long, has it? That's where he lost the lead, remember, halfway through. Down the other side of Hilltop then, Blackwell Chambers defending from Steve Foden here. Ben Short thinking about going to the inside of Langridge, and again John having to defend into Hislops, not for the first time this race. And we've seen already what effect that will have on his mid-corner speed. Should now be enough to allow Joe Wiggins to pull clear. What will be happening behind him though, that's the question. Is John Langridge going to be able to fend off the BS Motorsport car of Ben Short himself? Past the water tower again, into Druids. Langridge getting a whiff of a slipstream from Joe Wiggin, but again, defending into Druids. As soon as you start defending into Druids, you know that you're really struggling to hang on to the place, but John's driven well in this race. Only very briefly lost this second position, and if he hangs on to it to the flag, he'll take the championship lead. There's one more corner to go, though, and it's the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. Ben Short takes the wide line into Lodge Corner, cuts back to the late apex, carries good speed off the turn. It's going to be a drag race to the line for second place, but Joe Wiggin is going to pick up exactly where he left off at Snetterton with a 4th consecutive win of the year. For second place, it's almost a dead heat finish, but it is Langridge that hangs on by 71 one-thousandths of a second, with Ben Short in 3rd, Blackwell Chambers 4th, and Steve Foden 5th. It is equally close for 6th place. In fact, it is exactly equally as close, because that's 71 thousandths as well between Jack Brewer and Matt Pollard. That's remarkable stuff. Then Marcus Bailey, Jason Greatrex and Adam Bessel round out the top 10. Well, that was a fantastic conclusion to what was a tense race up until that point, but Wiggin hangs on, a 4th career victory and a 4th win in a row as well in the middle part of the season. John Langridge 2nd, then Ben Short and Will Blackwell Chambers. So Langridge takes the points lead. Ollie Allwood finished 11th in the end, limped home with that slightly ailing car ahead of Martin Tolley and Ash Miller, with Ben Hansey and Jack Moody. Stuart French and Matt Luff were non-finishers. They will therefore be relegated along with Bruce Robinson, Tim Dorr and Will Hayden, who fell to the back late on in the race.
So that's 4 in a row now. You're making a bit of a habit of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. That was a lot harder than Snetterton and all 3 of them, but you know, again, a testament to the team. We haven't quite got the pace, but we've got a good car underneath us, and we're able to drive through the twisty bits the right way and not run off the track, and I think that's how we won it. So I just want to say thank you to Eco Trailer, CN Signs, Tucker Motorsport and all my family for getting me here, really.
Race 2 of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship is about to go underway. We have Joe Wiggins on pole position, with John Langridge starting 2nd. Ollie Allwood had a failed gearbox in race 1 and has managed to get back out on track and starting in 11th position. Andy, it's over to you to see how he gets through the pack.
Thanks, Mike. Well, as you said, Joe Wiggin on pole position for this race because he won the previous race, the grid based on the result from race number 1. John Langridge therefore alongside with Ben Short and Will Blackwell Chambers on row 2. Steve Foden and Jack Brewer are next ahead of Matt Pollard and Marcus Bailey. Then Jason Greatrex and Adam Bessel, with Ollie Allwood looking to try and recover from that gearbox issue. He's got Martin Tolley alongside on row 6, then Ash Miller and Ben Hansey ahead of Jack Moody and David Waters. At the back of the grid, we have our 5 drivers promoted from the first B race. Michael Nibbs was the winner, so he starts 22nd ahead of Charlie Rawls, Adrian Burge, Alan Hawkins and Ollie Jenkins, all of whom came through from our first B race of the day. So Joe Wiggin looking to try and make this a remarkable 5 wins from 5. He'll have some work to do to achieve that, though. Let's see if he can do it, though. Off the line they go. John Langridge looking for a better start this time around as well. They launch towards Oulton Corner for the first time of asking. One car right up against the wall there. That was very close for Charles Mucklestone, I think that was. Yes, it was the white and red number 96 car in the midfield. Down the inside there of David Waters and Adam Craig through Old Hall Corner. As usual, 1 or 2 run a bit wide out of the first turn, but no one ends up pointing the wrong way. So it is, generally speaking, a clean start. Ben Short, though, going for the race lead up the inside of Joe Wiggin into Cascades for the first time, and it looked as though he might just have been able to make that one stick. So Joe Wiggin, unfortunately, not able to make such a demon start this time. Yet again, it looks like it's the man that starts 3rd, in this case Ben Short, that might be getting the best launch. And yes, he will lead them down into Island Bend. John Langridge is up the inside as well now, and Will Blackwell Chambers trying to follow him through, but can't quite do it, so that's crucial. Langridge is A, still ahead of Wiggin, and B, has a car between them still. So Langridge looking to try now to increase his newly acquired championship lead. So it's Short, Langridge, Wiggin, Blackwell Chambers and Steve Foden, with Adam Bessel in 6th place. Jack Brewer's had a good start as well, into 7th place at the moment. Having generally a fairly promising weekend so far is the youngster. Through the Britain chicane, back up the hill, Ben Hansey there with the 54 car behind him. I think that was Marcus Bailey, who's dropped down the order slightly. But Ben Short has the race lead then into the Hislop chicane. Ben has not won a race in the championship since Brands Hatch, when he won 2 races. And they were, I think I'm right in saying, his only 2 race victories of the season. He'd been on the podium since then. And as I said, did not race last time out in the championship at Snetterton. But now he is back, and he's back with a vengeance into the race lead then, despite that pretty poor qualifying effort by his standards, certainly. Is Jason Greatrex coming through, the number 33 car, through Druids for the first time, over that big hump on the exit of the corner, which really unsettles the cars. Joe Wiggin trying to unsettle John Langridge here and take second place back, and he'll do it, and Will Blackwell Chambers sees his chance to try and follow him through. This is a really significant battle now between Will Blackwell Chambers and John Langridge, and Langridge hangs on just about, but that was really the first time all weekend that Will Blackwell Chambers had an opportunity to get ahead of Langridge and wasn't quite able to capitalise on it. So John Langridge then staying in front. Will Blackwell Chambers, though, could not be any closer to him. These two have made contact already this year. Remember, back at Brands Hatch, they are making contact once more down the avenue, but this time nothing malicious in it at all. That's just bump drafting down the straight. That's pretty standard practice, really, in Mark 1 MX-5 racing. Rather than pull out of line and risk being overtaken by the car behind, you simply give the car in front a bit of a love tap and push you both along down the straight a little bit quicker. Short looking a bit more in control now. He's not got a huge cushion over Langridge, but it's Langridge that now seems to be the one that's driving more defensively again, as he realises that he needs to try and hold on to this second place. Every point that he can get will be crucial, and if he goes for a move for the lead that doesn't work, it could cost him second place and 2 valuable championship points. Onto the final lap of the race we go then. The big question, I think, really, is whether Blackwell Chambers can hang on to 4th place, because look at the potential here for him to lose not just 1 spot, but 2 or 3, because you have to imagine that if Allwood goes past him, that could drag Bessel and Moody through. Steve Foden was nearly off the road completely going through Old Hall Corner, but saved it. Morgan Clive Chisnell now a bit further back as he heads through Lodge Corner. Idea of just what the battling's like right at the back of the field. Trying to pull alongside Sam Attard by the looks of it, who in turn is side by side with someone else in front of us. Across the line they go into the first corner, and the other car they're racing with is Charlie Rawls, is it? Is that 26? Yes, it is. Charlie Rawls, who was promoted from the B grid after race number 1, and he's trying, this is the fight, I think, not to be relegated. So as far as I can work out, Rawls at the moment is in 21st, and from 22nd backwards will be relegated onto the B grid. So whoever finishes at the front of this train will be the only one potentially that survives to race in race 3A later on this afternoon. So that's the significance of this battle. This is something you don't get to appreciate necessarily all the time unless you're actually watching these races trackside. But now we focus once again on the race leaders, Short, Langridge and Wiggin, as close as ever they have been through Hislops. And into Knickerbrook Corner, the Mack Attack racing car of Joe Wiggin, being helped and supported as ever by his stepfather Declan McDonnell this weekend. Both of them former BMW Compact Cup race winners. Joe Wiggin trying now to add another MX-5 Championship race victory to his tally. It's unlikely to happen, you'd imagine, but he's going to give it his best shot out of Druids. Down to Lodge Corner, 1 more corner to go. He might not be able to win the race, but he could still take second place away from John Langridge. I don't think John's close enough to do anything about Ben Short. Wiggin from the outside to the inside, but he's not late enough on the brakes. If he'd braked any later, I think he'd gone straight into the side of John Langridge. So as they come out of Lodge Corner towards the checkered flag, Ben Short is going to come through to take his 3rd race victory of the season, his 1st since March at the first round at Brands Hatch. A brilliant return to the top step for Short. Langridge 2nd, Wiggin is 3rd, and Blackwell Chambers hangs on to 4th position, but as I said, will now be 10 points behind John Langridge in the championship. So Short wins it, Langridge 2nd, Wiggin 3rd, and Blackwell Chambers 4th, with Ollie Allwood 5th, then Adam Bessel, Jack Brewer, Steve Foden, Matt Pollard, and Martin Tolley rounding out the top 10. Confirmation there that Langridge got the fastest lap as well. Greatrex 11th, Bailey 12th, then Moody, Mugglestone, and Ash Miller again inside the top 15 or so. Relegated to the B race will be Clive Chisnell, Bryn Griffiths, Alan Hawkins, Adrian Burge and Ollie Jenkins, with no non-finishers from that one.
So you seem to take the lead quite early there. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, well, the plan was to take the lead off the start because race 1 went really quite well. I didn't quite make it, but I think I was leading by the end of the first lap. To be fair to John and Joe, they were really travelling on like that. I was really concentrating, trying to have every little bit here and there that I could on the curbing and stuff. So yeah, that was sort of all of it. I thought I didn't think I was going to get away with it, and then I saw the last lap board, and yeah, then just talked myself around one more lap to the end, really.
You join me for the third and final race of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. The last 2 races have been absolutely fantastic, and this one's always going to be one to watch. We've then had a light drizzle, track temperatures are down, tyre degradation is down, however things are starting to get greasy. With some of the drivers really pushing for championships and John Langridge in the mix, things could really get interesting. Andy, I hand this over to you, but first I pose this to you. What's your thoughts?
Well, Mike, I think that Will Blackwell-Chambers is going to be desperate to try and beat John Langridge in this one. He'll have to do it from 4th on the grid, though, with Langridge on row 1, alongside Ben Short on pole position. Wiggin is 3rd with Blackwell-Chambers, then Allwood and Bessel, Brewer and Foden, with Matt Pollard and Martin Tolley rounding out that top 10. Then it's Jason Greatrex and Marcus Bailey, Jack Moody and Charles Mugglestone, ahead of Ash Miller and David Waters. Then we've got Ben Hansey and Michael Nibbs, Adam Craig and Sam Attard at the back of the top 20, ahead of Charlie Rawls. Then Will Hayden, who won race 2B, with Matt Luff and Scott Leach joining him on the podium, and joining him on the A grid as a result, Stuart Ross French and Bruce Robinson likewise have been promoted from the B grid. So, for the final time this weekend, we're about to go racing then. Can John Langridge further extend his championship lead? He's 10 points ahead of Blackwell-Chambers, the number 1 car, as we speak. Will, though, will not be happy if he finishes behind that grey number 5 machine once more. Red lights go on then. Let's go racing at Oulton Park. Away we go, down to Old Hall Corner. Langridge makes a good start from the outside of row number 1. Looks fairly even, actually, across the first couple of rows of the grid. Further back, it's already 2 and 3 wide on the rush towards Old Hall. But Short leads the way. Langridge 2nd and Blackwell-Chambers up the inside of Adam Bessel for 3rd. So it's Wiggin that's gone backwards this time, down into 5th position, having started 3rd. He'll try and fight back, I'm sure, on the run down the avenue into Cascades. He's already ducked out of line alongside Adam Bessel into a Cascades corner, and has at least been able, I think, to salvage 4th place, but that was not in the script for our race 1 winner. Out of Cascades they go. David Waters there, the blue and black car on the outside. Just behind is Bruce Robinson we're on board with. Bruce scraped his way into the A grid by finishing 5th in race 2B, and so Robinson with the BC Cars run number 90 car, looking to try and now get even further up the order. No promotion or relegation though, of course, this being the final race of the day. Steve Foden onto the grass there as they came out of the Shell Oils hairpin. That's really going to hurt him in the early stages with everybody so bunched together, and he can't find the track again. Look, the circuit keeps going to the right, and that grass is a bit damp, I think, actually, after that drizzle that Mike mentioned. And he's going to fall right to the back of the field. Oh, how frustrating for Steve Foden. He's still not on the track. Now he is, gets back on the black stuff. That was a disaster. Right, not a disaster for John Langridge, though, because he's got past Ben Short. I think as Steve Foden was running wide, so Langridge was making his move on the exit of the Shell hairpin. So he's got the race lead away now from Short. Blackwell-Chambers is 3rd. Bessel is 4th position, with Ollie Allwood 5th, which is where he finished in the previous race. And they head up and over Clay Hill for the first time on board with Langridge. Looking back at Ben Short, he's got a really good run. Look at the slipstream there, but there's just nowhere to go with it. Druids is not really an overtaking opportunity. Langridge was on the inside line defending anyway, and so Short just gave him a little tap in the tails, just pushed him into the corner and sat behind him. But actually it's Blackwell-Chambers who's quicker off Druids than the others around him. Ducks to the inside line, down into the braking zone, and Ben Short goes for the race lead up the inside of John Langridge, who didn't move over to defend, which interests me. I thought he would have done. Short's been able to go through. There's contact though. Langridge gets into the back of him. They're almost spun Ben Short around there. Thankfully that was not what happened, and they come out of Lodge Corner, still all pointing the right way, but very, very close quarter stuff as the gloves are now starting to come off here in this 3rd and final race of the day. Short then leads the first lap, but he didn't need all of it. Langridge 2nd, Blackwell-Chambers 3rd, Bessel 4th, Allwood 5th, Wiggins 6th, 7th, I think might be Martin Tolley actually, one of his better showings of the year so far. As we sort of expected, it's all kicking off in race 3, especially with our championship contenders, and Langridge makes a mistake, locks up at Cascades, runs out wide, and might lose his 2nd place as a result, and he might lose more places because they're going to freight train him down the Lakeside straight. To the inside goes Blackwell-Chambers and Adam Bessel and Joe Wiggin. Ollie Allwood could not get over to the inside line in time though, and they're all going to descend upon Island Bend together. Hold your breath, everyone. Martin Tolley goes around the outside of Joe Wiggin, who will not let him through without a fight. But where has John Langridge settled back in line? He might somehow have held on to 3rd. I think he has. So Blackwell-Chambers has got ahead of him, but nobody else somehow got past John Langridge. Then it's Allwood and Bessel. 8.7 miles of racing still to go. What will the order be at the front of the field? What will the championship situation be after that? And well, it's changed again, look, because John Langridge is up the inside of Ben Short, and he's taken third place. I don't know what happened there to Ben, because he, of that leading group, was the fastest car off the previous corner, Lodge, and then for some reason at the very next turn, Old Hall, he ended up losing third, so he's off the podium now. That would mean that there would be 8 points in it going to Donington Park between Blackwell Chambers and John Langridge. No guarantee that it'll stay that like though, of course. There's Will Hayden, meanwhile, our race 2B winner, the white car. Oh, and contact just behind him. And that's Sam Attard that's gone around after making contact with, was that Adam Craig that he hit? I'm not too sure. It was a yellow car of some sort. Might have been Michael Nibbs, actually. Whoever it was, they came out of it okay, but unfortunately Sam Attard has a spin. Yellow flags out, I think, there on the run out of Shell. That's what Joe Wiggin was waving at, but Blackwell Chambers now, more than ever maybe, has a bit more incentive to try and go for this race lead. He knows how important those extra couple of points could be. Remember, he won the 2018 championship by 4 points. There's absolutely nothing in it come the end of the season. Oh, it's starting to rain, look, the rain's coming down. That's why he had his hand out of the cockpit. So this drizzle that's been threatening all afternoon is finally here with a bit more of a vengeance. Through the chicane they come then. Joe Wiggin is the sacrificial lamb in a way. He's the first to find out just how little grip there is as it starts to rain a little more heavily. The rest can sort of gauge from his car behaviour as to how much they need to back off. John Langridge's not backing off though. He's giving being given a shove, I should say, by Ben Short up the hill. Ollie Allwood there in 5th place looking to pick up pieces if this goes wrong, but John Langridge I think will be fairly satisfied with this. If he can hang on to 3rd through this final corner, then he will have still gained an awful lot of points over Blackwell Chambers over the course of the 3 races. Maybe not in all 3 races, but this is not a bad result at all. It's a brilliant result, though, for Joe Wiggin, who comes out of the final corner to take his 5th win from the last 6 races. He's not been off the podium at all in the last 2 race meetings. He's rarely been off the top step. Another victory for Joe Wiggin. That was not a bad drive at all. He's now level with Blackwell Chambers on race wins as well. Look at this behind for Adam Bessel as he tries to squeeze his way to the line. That was Martin Tolley up the inside. Martin's been dishing out those tight squeezes all day long. So Joe Wiggin then with the victory. Blackwell Chambers 2nd, takes 2 points out of Langridge. There will be 8 points in it going to Donington Park. John Langridge is 3rd, Short 4th and Allwood 5th, then Matt Pollard and Jason Greytrex, Jack Brewer, Adam Bessel and Martin Tolley round out the top 10. Then it's Marcus Bailey and Ash Miller, Jack Moody and Charles Mugglestone with Matt Luff and Adam Craig 15th and 16th. Then it was Ben Hansey, David Waters, Will Hayden and Michael Nibbs. Steve Foden got the fastest lap of the race and Stuart Ross French the only retirement after his off at the hairpin.
Back on winning form, but you must have had your mirrors full of 3 cars there at least.
Not for long. I made it hard work for myself, dropped back at the start, and I knew I had the pace and I weren't letting this one go, so we just picked them off one by one. And again, thanks to Eco Trailer, CN Signs, Tucker Motorsport, my stepdad family, I think that's 6 podiums and 5 wins, so over the moon. I never would have thought that coming into this, and overjoyed.